Now, there's several officers involved in certain matters in my proceedings, which stated that they didn't have an oath of office or bond, which is really peculiar to the law. I like when people argue, well, they don't have to follow the law. Well, they don't have to follow the law, but I do. That doesn't make any sense. That's a double negative. I'm in absolute disbelief of people who are absolutely just like, oh, well, it doesn't exist, when there's so much proof and evidence and you're just in absolute denial. So I think this is it. Nope, but this is a cool one. This is the Central Intelligence Agency, which we think is a corporation. Is not. It is a corporation. Here's the agency. The IRS actually is a corporation too, and again, that was on the state of Delaware. I want to show you this too. Look, that's another. It's just a copy. Federal land acquisition is actually considered a business as well, part of the federal corporate business that was, again, monetized, privatized by our state. I also recommend that people, here's a part of it, anyway. It starts at 419. I got these, I don't know how these got all mixed up. And it must have got mixed up when my parents moved them, but that's okay. I asked for an oath of office, and I got this. The paper wasn't blue. It didn't come in paper form. It came in PDF format, but the print paper that I had just looked like this. So if anybody's wondering why the paper is blue like that, or think that this is not authentic, they're absolutely right. It's not authentic, because if you look there's the signature, but it's not signed and authorized by anybody. So who authorized the oath of office? See, this is why it's important to ask for oath of office of the lawyers, of the judges, of the plaintiffs and the bailiffs and the clerks and all those. Start early. Remember, you don't have to enter into a plea. You don't have to enter a plea, because remember, all facts are assumed. Facts are being assumed right now. There's no proof. They're just assumed facts. What proof have they provided? What evidence have they put into court besides just a picture and a report? That's not sufficient evidence, and shouldn't be considered sufficient evidence. This is also a document that talks about I believe this is, People versus Sworns. This talks about the United States and how the bills and this, how they've been making false and fraudulent and deceitful, altering and forging and making false monies. They ultimately go on to say that the United States, that the indictment was an actual defraud, because that the United States is not the United States. Remember that the 14th Amendment was not properly ratified. Those proclamations that I read, that I'll post at the bottom. Federal land acquisition. It's a business. Here's a secured party creditor. That's the secured party crediting information for the state bar. The state bar of California, anyway. that actually makes them have a security interest, and they actually become they actually are a corporation. Again, Business and Professional Code 6001 and 6002. California Constitution, Article 6, Section 9. Here's the United States Constitution. The United States Constitution. Here's the United States Corporation in the state of Delaware. They also have several more entities created in the state of Delaware. So when they ask, well, which United States are you in? Well, I wonder that too. These are all on gun laws. We'll do a video on that later. Right now, I'm covering the straw man. Here is actually California Constitution 18, California Article 8, State of California Constitution 1879, Article 13A, 2. This is the remedy for discharging of debt in the state of California. The full cash value of an assessor, value or real, this is Section 2. A full value means the county assessor's valuation of real property shown on the 1975-76 tax bill under full cash value or thereafter, the appraised value of real property when purchased, newly constructed, or changed in ownership has occurred after the 1975 assessment. All real property not already assessed up to 1975 and 76, full cash value may be reassessed in reflection of value. You can also find another definition of currency and the prohibition of currency, which conflicts with the actual laws that are in place for legal tender. It conflicts with the legal tender that the Treasury is talking about. This is for the U.S. Constitution. Remember, your state has each has a remedy. I also want to present, hold on here a second, I got my pages. I also want to present here today the enactment of Congress of the United States of America Incorporated. This is the actual corporation of the existence of it. So, the 41st Congress, Session 3, Chapter 61, 62, 1987, pages 419 through 429. These actually show and define the United States of America Incorporated. And it shows that the United States is a business. It has been around. Remember, it has been around even before 1871. It's been around. It's not a landmass. It's a corporation, a building, an entity. I also want to show you. So, I believe this is it. So this is the definition. Under the 21.17.3.3.2, this is talks about all domestic entities under SS Form Line 7B and 79. Foreign individuals are not required to have an ITN, which is in order to receive an EIN. See 21.7.13.3.2.7 for EIN information. But it talks and defines corporation, partner, entity types. Line 7. Corporation, partnership, UBO, UBT, PTO, business, trust, or estate. SS4 exceptions, mail or faxed. May 3rd, 2019. Cannot list an entity EIN as the responsible party for a party. Must be an individual with a valid SSN ITN. Line 9, sole proprietor. And it goes on to talk about estate. And that's from the IRS website there. That's the first half. I'm sorry, it split it up into two halves. And this is the second half. It goes on to talk about sole proprietorship on line 9, the states on line 9, trust on line 9, governments on line 7. So here's the IRS Internal Revenue Manual Code. Yeah. So all those who don't think it's legitimate, and for those who don't think it's actually still legitimate, I talked about earlier. I talked about the CFR code 31.3.63.27. 6.3.3. Now I want to talk about 6.3.27, which actually talks about the account. This actually talks about your account and what actually is held in it. 6.3.3 actually shows you the account itself. It talks about 6.3.36.327. What do I need to know about an account for a minor who has not had an illegal appointed guardian? We do not permit a minor to purchase securities. Opening an account in the name of the minor, a parent or the individual, which remember can also include the corpus, pares parenti who are taking care of you. Pares parenti, if you look at it, it's a person who takes care of you and is not your blood parent, but takes care of your means. In section 1, it says a parent or an individual who provides a chief financial support of a minor may open an account for a minor. The person who opens the account for a minor is referred to as the custodian of the minor's account. The custodian is the fiduciary for the minor as the security held in the minor's account. The custodian must have an existing primary Treasury Direct account in order to open the minor's account. The minor account, remember, that doesn't matter because the Treasury Department oversees all that. So that part, if people are reading that, is that only applies to somebody, like if I was to open an account, a primary direct account for somebody, and I would be acting as a custodian. But remember that the Treasury Department opens it for everybody, because remember we're security. Securities contained in the minor account will be named in their SSN. The securities contained within the minor's account will be registered in the name of the SSN of the minor, either sole owner or beneficiary, or owner with the beneficiary. Now, let's go back to, I believe it was in here. I actually don't think I have that in front of me here. I'll do that one. But what I was going to say is that the securities in the direct account, it says the minor is section 2. It says the custodian must use his or her primary Treasury account as a portal to open and accesses the minor's account. Open securities can be contained in the minor's account and will be registered. Now, under that 21.7.13.2.2, that actually, remember your Treasury account is held in your Social Security account. But remember, you can't have, when you're a minor, your parents have to. Now, there's a law that states that within 10 months of the child being born, they have to be assigned a Social Security card. And I actually wanted to show you, because I have it here, the further definitions of the United States. Well, we showed you the United States of America Incorporated, the actual business registered with the state of Delaware, for all those who are obviously curious. So I wanted to show this because look, Social Security Administration. Where is it registered? The state of Delaware. So it's a business. Now, GATT actually stated that it's mandatory. GATT is the General Trade and Tariffs Agreement. And it agreed and stated that it is mandatory for all individuals to have Social Security cards. But it's actually not mandatory. I'll post some information further down so you can read. I also wanted to show you the United States Treasury. Again, remember the Treasury hasn't existed, and we've already further discussed that the United States is not a corporation or a business. The United States is a corporation and a business, and that we discussed how they are an entity. And, people would deny, well, they're not a business. Well, here's from the state of Delaware. The actual signed document from the Secretary of State, authenticated with the authenticity number and everything, that shows that there is a financial and industrial signs of industrial and evidence of financial means of a corporation, not a government, but governments are corporations. So when certain people say a government cannot be created under 28.3002 subsection 15, I say I disagree because of the Organic Act that I have shown and the paperwork that I have shown that shows that those entities, IRS, Internal Revenue Service, and other agencies are frauds. That they are not government, but simply corporations acting in the process of a government. I also wanted to show you this as well. This talks about changes in account periods and methods of accounting. CFR 26601.204. Also parts 1. Part 1, 2. This is CFR 26 Part 1, 263A, 446, 4471, and 4481, which talk about the accounts. The Commission, under the Internal Revenue Code 446E, can change the methods of account for royalties described in 1.263A, 1E, 3, 2U2 of Tax Income Regulation, change its methods for account sale-based venued back chargeback described in 1.471-3E1 of 3, change its simplified product method or simple resale method for cost allocations to inventory property that is being sold to complying with final regulations under 26.3A and 471. The sections under 263 requires the taxpayer to pay capital direct costs to an indirect cost to the properly allocated to real property or tangible personal property. The taxpayer, remember the taxpayer was defined. I've already defined the taxpayer. The taxpayer is a member of the U.S. government. Let me go over to my book here again so I can get you another. Remember, this created the English, ENILEGIS, meaning a person that is dead or not living. I was looking for the definition. Give me a second here. Hold up here a second. Fractional money. Ooh, freaking jumped. Huh? So, here we go. 266331, levy and restraint. If any person liable to the taxpayer neglects or refuses to pay the same tax within 10 days after notice of demand, it shall be lawful for the secretary to collect such tax, and further sum shall be sufficient to cover the expenses of levy by levy upon the property of right to properties, except such property is exempt under 6334 belonging to such person on which there is a lien provided in this chapter for payment of such tax. Levy may be made upon the accrued salary or wages of any officer, employee, elected official of the United States, of the District of Columbia, or any agency or instrumentality of the United States or the District of Columbia, by serving a notice of levy to the employer as defined in sections 3041D of such office of employee or neglect or elected official. If the secretary makes a finding that the collection of such tax is in jeopardy, notice for demand immediately payment of such tax shall be made by the secretary upon failure or refusal to pay such tax collected thereof. The levy shall be lawful without regards to the 10-day period provided in this section. So, now that you have read it, or I have read it, it says levy may be made upon the accrued salary of any wage officers, employees, or elected officials of the United States, District of Columbia, agencies, or any instrumentality of the United States or the District of Columbia. Question: are you an officer, employee, elected official of the United States, the District of Columbia, or any of the instrumentalities of the United States, including entity, commercial, employee, or instrument by the parent corporation? If so, then you are subjected to tax. English, as defined in Blacklaw's Dictionary, 4th edition, a creation of law, artificial, being in contrast with a natural person, applied to corporations, considered as derived by the existence entirely from law. Blacklaw's Dictionary. So it shows, one, we're being taxed as employees of the United States. I'm not an employee of the United States. How can you tax me? Remember, the United States is an entity. I don't remember applying for any application of working for the United States of America Incorporated. Now, the question seems to be, well, people seem to say, well, there is no straw man. And we have already discovered, well, there is ways to discharge. Remember, everything is commercial. Everything's considered commercial under 27 CFR 2772.11. Remember that they codified the laws and made them all commercial, and this eventually led to commercial law because we couldn't afford anything. Now, in sections 2, it says sections 263A requires the taxpayer To capitalize one direct cost and indirect cost that properly allocates the real property or tangible property of a taxpayer. Remember, taxpayer is defined as employees. Remember, we defined it as taxpayers as employees. That's who we are. And the taxpayers must allocate cost under the capitalized to property produced or acquired for resale during the taxable year, using a cost of allocation method described in regulations. For example, the taxpayers simplified methods provided in 1.26382. So this is actually some of the forms of remedies that you're provided and laws that you're told and that are regulated. The taxpayers must allocate a cost required to be capitalized for the property of resale. Well, I don't remember loaning my property off. How can you tax me on my tangible property that I already own? How are you claiming property that's mine? How are you claiming wages that are mine? Simply, the simple methods provided for the allocation, it says for the simplified methods of allocation of inventory property produced, acquired for restate. So they're talking about, I believe they're talking about the straw man, because they can't really just they can't just get up and sell your property. That wouldn't work. Under Section 471, when the inventory is necessary to clear, determining the income of any taxpayer inventory or taxes that must be paid, that must be taken on a basis of most clearly reflected income. Sections 147, subsection dash 2C, sorry, it's 1.471-2C permits merchants and manufacturers to value the inventory at either cost of market or at cost, or two, cost or market, which is lower under 1.4713B. So you have to remember that the Internal Revenue on January 13, 2014 published a final regulation 26.3a and 471 TD TD 9652 79 Federal Regulation 2094 relating to the capitalizations and allocated of royalties that the taxpayer incurs upon the sale of property produced, acquired, resale, sales-based royalties, and the adjustments of the inventory for sales-based vendors chargeback, a type of sale for vendor allowance. The final regulation is applied to the taxpayer at the end of the year or after 2014, January 13th. So it talks about the capitalization and allocation of royalties the taxpayer incurs upon the sale or production or acquired resale, sale-based royalties, and the adjustment and cost for sale-based chargebacks, a type of sale-based vendor allowance. So the mere use of your property, they are paying royalties. They're supposed to pay you royalties. The courts use your property, they're supposed to pay royalties. So I just wanted to make this video. It's going on an hour. I'll make a second half of this, and we'll just start where we left off on sections 1.263A-1E32U, which talks about and clarifies the sale-based royalties, and in which the royalties are secured by contractual right of use, trademark, corporate plan, manufacturing procedure, a special recipe, or other similar right associated with property production or property acquired for resale or indirect cost of property allocated. That's what we will be talking about in a later date. I will post this video. This is part 1. Please enjoy this video. Please tell me what you think. Like, share, comment. I will be posting some of the definitions of what I have just stated here. Please understand that there's only allowed 8,000 characters, so I can only put a limited amount of information in there. If you seek for more information, please just comment down below. Share, comment, like, tell me what you think. Thank you for watching. Share, subscribe. Until then, remember to love the ones you're around, love the ones you are with, hold on to what is precious, and remember, we fight not for land or property, but we fight for what is precious, and we have to continue to fight for what is precious. Thank you, and until next time.